Yeah, here we are. Woods and Whitetail episode 4. Yeah, we're here in my basement, and we got a special guest here, a real special one. Jake, the serial killer, uh, and yeah, he's here to teach us some lessons and stories. We got Joey again. Yeah, so what were we gonna start with? Stories, weren't we? Stories to start off the bat.
I think that's good.
Yeah, so I can start with a quick story here. Yeah, Joey and I were hunting piece of public near the hunting shack, right?
Yeah.
And we got in pretty early that morning. Spot I scouted, and we actually got on some deer that morning, and there was some sounds. Let me back up a little bit. We were probably about a mile in, I'd say, so it wasn't right off the road. And so Joey was texting me. Joey is probably about 100 yards off, and he said, I think I hear some truck doors slamming. I was like, what do you mean? We're hunting archery hunting. There's no gun hunting going on, and I was like, I don't know what that could be. It was a ways off. Fast forward a little bit. Joey had got down. It was kind of mid-morning. Came towards me to pack up, and we had seen some deer that morning, but no, it was doe and a couple fawns, so no shots or whatever. And we ended up hearing a couple shots, shotgun hunters, a ways out. And as we were kind of getting together, these shotgun hunters made their way towards us and ended up shooting our way with their dogs right by us. And
It happened quick.
So Joey and I are like, should we yell at them or what should we do? It was really kind of awkward. Like, we didn't know these guys. And so we ended up yelling at them. And they had no idea that they were shooting at us. And I don't know what was going to happen. They were flushing grouse, and Joey and I were there, and it turned out all right. But just be safe out there.
What do you say in a moment like that? You know, you don't want to come off as, hey, get out of here. I'm here. You want to kind of say, hey, I'm over here. You know, watch where you shoot your shotgun.
Yeah. But once someone fires a shotgun at you, all of that goes out the window.
I distinctly recall hearing it was high above.
We could hear BBs singing over our head.
It'd be okay, but catch one in the eye, it could be a bad deal.
Well, you guys probably all camoed up.
Yeah.
Exactly. I had 0 blaze orange on me,
Yeah.
so I distinctly recall that where I said I'm not visible at all, and I will always carry a blaze orange hat on my backpack now.
I noticed you do that.
Yeah, just always identifiable.
Smart.
Okay. Yeah, so that story was pretty crazy. I'm glad we didn't get injured that morning.
Likewise, it was a memorable hunt for sure.
Yeah, I think I ended up seeing the doe and the fawn, and doe and 2 fawns, but I hadn't killed a deer with my bow at that point, so I was pretty excited. I think I was like, I'm gonna, legal to shoot a doe there, and I was texting you, and but yeah, I think she ended up, I hadn't got thinking about the wind or thermals, and I think she ended up busting me that morning. So she came into the little opening and, putting her nose up and kind of like curling. I was like, what does that mean, But she was, 40 yards or whatever.
It's pretty cool how you learn a lot about deer behavior by bow hunting. You figure out what a movement means or a sound. And if you're not bow hunting, you usually don't have a chance to hear that.
Rifle hunting, a lot of pros to it, but usually it's longer shots and the deer are frantic. They're all, you don't get to, it's not intimate.
You're forced to watch them when you bow hunt.
Yeah. You are.
Because you can't. They're just too far.
They're too far. You're forced to learn.
Have to watch.
Yeah. Did you want to share a story?
Sure.
We're all going to share some stories here. So that was my almost getting shot story. Pretty bad.
Definitely memorable.
Yeah.
But, happy to be there.
We'll take that with us forever.
my story takes place in a very similar spot, the exact spot actually.
The exact spot, yeah. It's a good piece of land.
Maybe a swamp bowl over from where we were.
They've logged it now. It's become completely just blown over. But it should get good in a couple of years. Yeah. But now it's we're gonna have to stay out of there.
Retrieving your camera out there recently, it looked like a moonscape.
Yeah,
it just was complete desolate.
That swamp island was good.
It was.
But yeah, that's a deep one, 3 miles.
It's incredible how they can log such a wetland like that, where they get in there with machinery.
Yeah.
But anyways, I was in there, and I was brought there by Mitch, just the next kind of swamp bowl over, and this was, I think, the next year. So I had a little experience going in there with the shotgun event, but I kind of knew a little bit, enough. I'm usually going with these two guys. They're usually babysitting me, putting me in the right spot. But Mitch brought me out there, and to my credit, I did pick the precise spot in the general zone that Mitch laid out. I think I just gave you a
general area, and
so,
you dialed it.
Yeah. So I did some ground hunting, set up, and had a kind of nice little bottleneck, and sure enough, right around dusk, I started hearing this coming right towards me. I think as a bow hunter, doing it for a few years, I'm like, oh, surely this will be a deer far off, I'll see. What a cool experience. But this noise gets closer and closer. It's almost like he's beelining it right for me. And he was. This little buck.
This was a suicide buck. We've never seen anything like it.
He came right for me across the swamp. I don't know why, but he was just drawn to this pinch point that I was set up on, and
we'll throw that clip in here. It's breathtaking. It's just something else.
You were on the ground, weren't you?
Ground hunting. We tried that weekend.
Yeah,
on the
that's
ground.
Cool.
Yeah, it was definitely. I'll talk more to it, but encouraging to continue ground hunting after that experience. But I had a good background, so I couldn't be skyline, ground blind, but he came right up to me, and I think he was 4 to 6 yards broadside, just slowly walking. And a good piece of advice I always say, I always draw back, just because if you can get a
good practice,
real world,
any deer.
Exactly, a real world experience of putting your pin on a deer's body and seeing their movement, their shoulder blades,
seeing if you can get away with it.
Exactly. It just gives you that. There's no better practice in the moment. So I drew back, and I just put my top pin right on his lungs, and I just kind of followed him, and you'll see in the video. But I didn't want to shoot. It was early October, and I figured
a lot of rut ahead.
I got kind of a clutch spot. I like to roll the dice and try for a big one, but I didn't shoot. He ended up smelling me. He goes, and he pinpoints right on me, and he takes off. But quite an experience, and happy to have had that happen, because it kind of gave me a new insight on ground hunting. I know you've got some experience with it.
Yeah.
And that's a goal of mine.
Didn't that day, didn't the morning start off that morning ground hunting and having a doe and fawn on us?
Yes.
So that was morning and night ground hunting. 2 different spots where 2 deer we probably could have killed. Public land, which was just crazy.
I don't like to force it, but there are situations when that is the way to go, and if you're getting deer like that close, you can draw on them and they don't see you, you're doing something right. You're doing something right.
Younger deer, but they're still they're still living out there with wolves, and so they're not completely dumb. So
yeah, but that was about it. Ground hunting, 2 ground hunt adventures.
That was cool. Yeah.
How about you? You got a story to tell?
I do. I think, thinking about it, I'll share.
You got a lot of them, but pick a good one.
I think I'll share.
Jake will be on here more, so he can throw more in later.
I was telling him before, like, I don't shut up. I love talking.
This is awesome.
This is my jam.
We're gonna try and shorten this up. We could have a 100-hour film.
Yeah, I'll keep her going.
Yeah, so.
But yeah, I think I'll share kind of a funny story, and those that hunt public land maybe can relate to this a little bit.
Sure.
But this was a few seasons ago. I was fortunate enough to get in a good spot, and I tagged 2 does in the same evening.
Yeah.
So super excited. I was very happy, but the story is just beginning. So now I got to get these 2 does out of here. I'm probably about 0.75 miles back.
Sure.
But it's right on the edge of the property.
Mm-hmm.
I caught these does working out of bedding to a bean field.
Wow.
Pretty textbook.
Yep.
Everything worked out.
Awesome.
I had already brought the does there, so now I got to go bring all my gear back to the truck, get my cart, come back, and recover them.
Yep.
Anyway, I get back to the truck, and public land, another hunter sitting there. How do you go? You know, you get anything you say?
Heck yeah,
I did. You know, I was kind of quiet about it because, yeah, what'd you get? A couple does. Couple, he says. There's a couple of them.
He's ecstatic.
All of a sudden, he's real interested.
Wow.
So he's a really nice guy.
Sure.
I tell you, you meet another bow hunter on public land, most of the time, nice guys.
Yeah, you guys are on the same level.
Same level. We're out there grinding. He starts kind of BSing a little bit. I'm cleaning up. He goes, "You need help?" No. He asked me probably 10 times. "You need help? Need help?"
Wow.
Kind of the Minnesota nice thing.
Yeah.
And finally, he goes, "I got an e-bike. I can help you out."
Oh, wow.
And I was like, all right, well, if he's going to offer that, sure, if you really want to come out, we'll take
He's
it
got
out.
this e-bike.
He goes, "I don't have anything to drag it with." I go, "Well, I have an otter sled. Always got an otter sled in the back of my truck, and then I have a cart." I go, "Well, it's 2 of them, so if you could take one with the otter sled, I'll take the other with the cart." So I have my cart all put together, my deer cart. I put it in the otter sled, and we tie it to his bike.
Wow.
And I'm like locking my truck up, and I look back, and he just takes off down the trail.
You didn't even tell him where to go?
He has no idea where to go. And I'm thinking to myself,
He's
like,
excited.
Yeah, I'm like, well, there goes all my recovery equipment. He's gone. So I'm like, well, he'll figure it out. I had not field dressed the deer yet. I'm like, there's a lot of work. I'm like, I gotta go. So I just start walking.
See what happens.
Yeah, I'll see what happens. Sure enough, I make it to the deer on the trail, and he's not there.
Where is this guy?
I don't know where this dude is. So I cut the deer up, and I take care of it. And I look up, and I see a light way in the distance. There's a lot of trail networks on this property.
Sure.
So I flash over, and I hear a, "Yep, yep." And I yell back to him, and we finally meet up.
Wow.
And he pulls up, and I turn my light on. It's pitch dark out. And my cart, my deer cart, is in pieces.
Oh, gosh.
He goes, "Yeah,
It didn't make it through.
your cart didn't make it." Cart didn't make it.
Okay.
It's in pieces, but it's in the thing. I said, "Well," I said, that's fine. I'm getting mad at this guy. He's trying to help."
Yeah, good guy.
So I go, "Yeah, they're right here." I put one in. And he's like, "Do you think you could take 2?" I was like, "Yeah, I could take both of them." So I put both in. No, he ain't taking both of them. So I take one out. And he's trying to get going, and I start pushing him, and he starts going. He's like, "This is too bumpy. This trail's too bumpy. I'm going to take a shortcut across this way to the other trail." And I've hunted this property a lot.
I wouldn't take that way.
Yeah,
I've never been there, but
I wouldn't take that way.
Yeah.
Like, I'll just let him take that way. So I give him a push, and he takes off, and he hits this big ditch. And I swear, all I see is him go flying, and the back of the bike flip up.
Wow.
Like, yeah, "Are you okay?" Long story short, the bike is broken. The e-bike is broken.
How much are these bikes?
They're various thousands of dollars. I look up, I get closer to the bike, and I start investigating. Because remember, it's been dark this whole time. All the truth starts coming out. This is my wife's e-bike. It's a white bike. It's made for the city.
I'm sorry if you're watching.
Oh man, I felt so bad. And now, okay, I got a broken cart,
And this
a
thing.
broken bike,
Wow.
2 dead deer, and an otter sled.
What?
So yeah, I'm like, well, I'll take. So we put 1 deer in the sled, and we start dragging, and he just pushes his bike, lights a cigarette, goes, he goes, "I can help you out with that." I said, "Sure." He grabs it, pulls it 10 feet. He goes, "I'm out of shape." I said, you don't have to stick around, buddy. I do.
I'll take
really
care of
appreciate it. And he takes his bike and he walks off.
Wow.
And I had to pull the rest of those out by hand.
Wow.
If you're watching, buddy, you are the nicest dude. I owe you some beers.
We'll meet you at the bar some night. And
so it's kind of a long story, but I'll never forget that.
Wow.
The people you meet on public land is just wild.
Wow.
Great story.
Wow.
It's amazing.
Yeah, everyone's usually pretty cool. They're always willing to lend a hand, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy that all that equipment malfunction. I mean, what are the chances?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I got a little quick story about public land and a character I met once.
Yeah, why don't you throw that in? I'm going to look at our itinerary here.
Yeah, this is a short one.
Yeah.
Out rifle hunting about 4 years ago. And I ran into this fellow after hearing a large, long, loud shot crack out. I made my way back to kind of where people park and ran into this guy. And he said, "Oh, thank God. Thank God I found you."
Thank God I found you.
He said, "I knew someone was here. I saw a bunch of vehicles." And he said, "My name's Dwayne.
Oh.
And I just shot a nice big doe."
Wow.
And he said, "I put up this ladder stand that's about 20 feet up in the tree."
Wow.
He said, "I've got severe heart problems.
Yeah.
I shouldn't be doing any of this."
Wow.
And I thought, "Dwayne, glad you ran into me."
Yeah. Wow.
Let's get this figured out and help you out here. And
wow.
Sure enough, I went with him to his stand. It was about 30 yards off the trail there.
Wow.
Dead doe right in front. And I said, "Dwayne, you just watch and I'll drag it out to you to the trail. We'll gut her out and get in your pickup.
We'll get this going for you."
And that was it. It took about 20 minutes and
wow.
Lickety split. We got him taken care of.
I respect that.
Great guy. We got a picture I'll put up right here. And just a nice fellow. I'd never seen him before in the area that I've been for decades, and I've never seen him since. So, Dwayne, I hope you're doing well.
I love that. There's a lot of people talk about bad deals in public land, but there are a lot of people that respect each other and help each other out there. I like that.
That's
Absolutely.
a great, great transition I mean, just people on public land. We got kind of a story that we can transition into, call it a story maybe, probably. Jake here and I ran into one of each other's spots. I had a trail camera out on public land, and I do a lot of mock scrapes. That is my signature. And actually, Joey and Jake were together on this, and I've only met Jake maybe twice now.
Yeah.
So I've been friends with Joey longer, soon to be brothers. So we've been knowing each other maybe 3 years or something.
Yeah, I think so.
Something like that. So, so Joey ends up messaging me and, "Is this yours? This scrape setup?" And I said, "Yeah, that's mine. Wow, I can't believe you found it. That's about a mile back." And, that's impressive, and I hear stories like that of public land hunters, hardcore bow hunters running into each other on setups, and it's pretty cool.
Now, it wasn't me that identified this area. I was brought to this zone, and I may have happened upon, I was the trailblazer.
Giving credit due.
See, I can pick out a game trail camera off a tree pretty well, so...
That was pretty funny. That was pretty funny.
Never fix your camera either.
Sorry about that. Bears wreak havoc on cameras, and in that case, a bear really swatted the camera down, and so I told Joey, I was like, "Well, while you're there, fix it." But bad cell phone service. It was too late.
Miles away.
So he would have, but.
And that's a funny story too, because like you said, we haven't really talked a lot. Joe talks about a lot of the great hunting success and all the cool stuff you do.
Yeah.
We didn't
Vice
know.
versa.
We didn't know we were in the same area. We were just scouting, and we just happened upon this, and I kind of mostly joking. I was like, doesn't your buddy Mitch do setups like this? I said, wouldn't it be funny if it was his?
Like, yeah, he uses a rope, hangs it from a tree. I don't know.
I don't know. You know, it's. I mean, if we were in the middle of nowhere, really, and it was a thick spot, but
there's something to that.
Yeah.
I've heard, I've listened to a bunch of guys, and they've said, you know, even like 10 guys out on a piece of public, you know, 10,000 acres, right? They'll be like, let's split up and let's scout this. Do. And like 8 of the 10 guys will end up at one scrape on the 10,000 acres and meet each other there. Like, this is really weird. How did we all get here? We followed this deer trail, and
yeah, you all follow the sign, and
yeah,
works together and stuff.
It's kind of weird. So
yeah,
that was pretty funny. I was laughing. I was like, oh my gosh, that is awesome. So yeah, how about we share a tip? How about we have Jake share a tip, and maybe, you know, combine that with something he learned from this past season. You know, the two, even a hot tip could be, you know, from all your hunting experience. But
sure.
And then you could share something that you took away from the last hunting season.
I think this past season, this is gonna sound so obvious, but it doesn't hit you until it starts connecting.
Sure.
But especially where we hunt, very thick area here in the Midwest, hills, brush, etc. But every time this year, especially, that I got visual on a deer, it resulted in a kill.
Wow.
Might not have been the same deer, but like getting a visual on a deer is huge.
Yes.
In season, especially.
You're close to their bed.
You're
maybe.
close to their bed. If
Yeah.
you see a buck of any size in the middle of the day on his feet and you get that visual,
He's living there.
you are in the zone.
Yep.
Like, you have to take that trumps everything else that
Yes.
you're finding in the woods for
Yes.
sign.
Yeah.
And that became important. I mean, we had an out-of-state hunt in the rain. I saw, I think, 5 different bucks in one core area. I went and scouted another spot foolishly from years past. No deer sign. Like, what am I doing? I know where the deer are. Let's go back.
They should
there.
be here.
Yeah. Another one, we ended up finding a really nice buck post rifle season here locally, and I didn't end up finding that buck again, but got into the deer again. Found him in the middle of the day. Came back, followed up. So that intel, you got to act on it quick. Yeah. But if you get a visual on a deer, that is so big. And so my style is very aggressive. I got a family, a wife, 2 kids. So I gotta, if I'm in the woods, I gotta take advantage.
You work full time,
and
so you gotta do this.
I gotta get on it. So that's a huge one. And then I would pair that with the second piece, which is just hunting those deer down.
Yeah.
It took me an embarrassing amount of time to learn this, but when you spook deer or you hunt a spot or they know you're there, they, you know, a lot of stuff you read, it says, well, you got to move on to a different spot. Well, what does spot mean? How do you define what a spot is? I would take that and be like, I got to go to a brand new property.
Yeah.
I got to go a mile away now. This spot's all boogered up.
Same.
It's no good anymore.
Exactly.
And I would bounce around and I wasn't really learning anything. So this year I thought, let's focus in. And I had a lot of kills this year. Nothing giant, but a lot of deer I'm proud of because of that.
Should we add some pictures in?
Yeah, you can probably show some examples of that.
Yeah.
You tagged out in one state.
I tagged out. I got my first out-of-state deer, and they were all because I got visuals and or because I hunted them down. And I'd use the sign and visuals to my advantage. And what I found in these heavily pressured areas, and I don't know, maybe guys have different experiences, but
comment if you want.
Yeah, it seems to be 100 to 300 yards is kind of that zone. And I look at a map and be like, I was here a week ago. The sign is dried up. There's water here. There's open woods here. Well, they probably went to the north. You go 100 yards and there's an open scrape. There's the deer.
Yep.
Same deal when we were out of state. We kind of honed in on this spot. We ended up getting a visual after dark on the river, and that led to an encounter for you.
Yeah.
Same thing, like
50 yards over.
Yeah, I think there's a lot to say to that. It seems so obvious, really, saying it out loud, but I put a lot into that this year, and it paid off.
Yeah, light or dark, or sun or in the night or whatever. I've seen some guys shine deer, and the same thing where it's legal, and lead to a kill, kind of like you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's how I set up on that story you're saying, where we saw a buck and a doe at the river's edge as we're kayaking out.
Right after dark.
Right after. So I'm thinking, okay, when I set up here next, I've got to be close to that river's edge. And
they got to be here the next day.
They've got to be.
They're not going to leave.
No. And sure enough, the next day I set up and I saw that doe, and I think that buck was waiting for her to kind of slowly get closer to the water.
Wow.
And then he would follow her and take his place.
And that's a good lesson too. They came out of the thick cover.
Yeah.
We had already hunted. There were bear hunters in this spot. We had hunted 2 other spots. So they're farther down the river, same terrain, same food, same cover, but they just moved off that pressure a little bit.
Yeah.
We verified it with the visual, and Joe had an encounter.
Yeah.
You were just barely off with the bow, but that you were in the game.
With a bow, and visual on a deer is a win in my book. Whether you kill the deer or not, that's a win.
Successful hunt.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. That's really cool. Well, yeah, we can move on here. We got a handful of topics we're gonna cover here. So, Jake, who is your biggest influence? Joey and I went over this last week. You think your dad, or anyone on social media, or?
Yeah, I'll do a family side and then the social media side, I guess.
Yeah.
Definitely my dad. We grew up hunting, fishing, outdoors life.
Living off venison, right?
I was raised on wild game.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. That's awesome.
It was never talked about. It's just the way it was.
Yeah.
And from a very early age, we just learned about the natural world and the woods, the attention to detail.
I love that.
The woodsmanship is huge. It wasn't even deer hunting. It's like, what's this flower?
Just being connected to the
all
world.
these little details, which does make you a better hunter, I think. Understanding how all that stuff comes together.
I love that. I love that. That's huge.
Make no mistake, my dad is a killer. A very good hunter.
Wow.
As I continue, I would say
maybe we'll have him on here someday.
Yeah, I would say
if he'd do it.
If I see my old man, there's 100% chance we're talking deer hunting.
Wow.
Just 100% chance.
Well, we're gonna have to have him here.
So yeah, learned a lot from him. Still do. That was great. And then from a kind of hunting celebrity social media side, I would say. I think you mentioned this before, Danny and Fault, the Hunting Beast.
Yeah.
And I recommend this to everybody. If you haven't checked out their forum, not Facebook, but
the Hunting Beast forum. Yes.
I lurk on there. I don't really post. I'm kind of a nobody, but I learn a lot.
You're getting to be somebody on the Woods and Whitetail
Network. I love it.
Here we
I
go.
appreciate that. But check that forum out. They've got archives of really good tips of just people that don't like the limelight, but they post their tactics on that forum.
I've seen that.
Yeah, you can learn a ton from these folks, and it really changed the way I bow hunt.
Wow.
Yeah.
I wrote something on Dan Infolt's page the other day, squirrel hunting, and he liked it back or whatever, which is cool. So shout out to him if he's listening. That's cool. So, well, cool. Yeah, we can transition to the next here. What are you gonna do this off season? What's your plan?
That's a really good question. So, like you said, I work full time. I got a family.
Life's busy.
Life's busy, man. When I hunt, I go all in. So it's so hard. So I gotta balance that constantly. But any chance I can sneak away, I'm gonna be scouting. Scouting. I don't care what time of year it is.
Exactly.
Where I'm at, where I'm going. You can always learn something by going in the woods.
Exactly.
I just think that's huge. And then I'm just a bit of a nerd with my bow. I'll just keep playing with my bow. I love shooting my bow. I don't think that makes you a better hunter necessarily, but it gives me confidence and just quite honestly, I enjoy it. I like shooting my bow. So I'll be doing a lot of that.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Heck yeah.
Great.
Do you run any trail cameras?
That's a good question.
How many do you have?
I think you both probably have me beat with trail cameras.
Which doesn't mean we have you beat in the hunting side.
Well,
I mean, you could be chasing trail cameras.
We got some good photographs.
That's some good
That's a good photos. I absolutely believe in trail cameras. There's like a weird balance there for me personally. So on private land, I love trail cameras.
Mm-hmm.
I can keep it in there. I don't have to touch it.
Yep.
Cell cams are
like
huge
a cell cam.
advantage.
Sure.
Like I can keep track of a trail coming in and out of bedding, and I know when I can go in and make that kill.
Exactly.
I've learned over the years I don't want to hunt unless it's time to kill.
You don't want to bump the deer off that property.
Yeah, so I need to be specific.
Yep.
So how many trail cameras? 3 or 4 on private land.
Okay.
Public land, I very rarely run them. If I do, it's temporary,
sure,
maybe for a week or two. Most of my public land is off sign and visual sightings, so which puts me, it makes it harder, but it's kind of fun. I don't know, it's a mystery, like what's around the corner. You never know who's gonna step out.
Yeah, it's old school almost, and there's something to be said for that, for sure. I mean, trail cameras, they show you almost everything that's there, but then again they don't. I mean, they're kind of a double-edged sword.
It's a
I think that's what you call
sword,
it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you might be missing stuff. I've heard of bucks eluding trail cameras. Like you're like saying there's nothing there.
I've witnessed that with my eyes. I've watched deer go around them. You can see the sign of them go around them. Even on private land, if I'm not getting cameras, but I know it's that time of year, I will go check spots.
Yeah.
Because
the sign doesn't
you can
lie.
only see a little bit in front of you. They're very good, but sometimes I found myself in the past years relying too much on them.
Exactly.
So
you gotta. They're good and bad.
They're good and bad. So not knocking them. There's a huge advantage to it.
Yeah.
But it depends on the spot.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Cool.
I myself, I would say I hunt cameras and I hunt memories, and I'm an outlier. You're not supposed to do that. But I would say
but you've killed good deer doing that though.
That cameras get me out in the woods. The pictures I get me out there more than most else.
2 things you're doing though is you got historic sign, and Joey's hunting not by his house. He's hunting long distance away, and so he can't be there every day. So he's using these cell cams, as proof that he should be there or whatever. So
about once a decade it pays off.
Well, I should mention that though, because with my strategy comes like you can't weekend hunt. I have to take some time off work and hunt 4 or 5 days in a row to learn it.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
If I go weekend to weekend, that data's old and it's useless now.
Yeah.
Almost.
It's almost a scout hunt,
Yep.
right? Where Joey's knows the historic areas, and so he's got the cameras there, and so he's using that to see if the deer are there at that time.
Yeah.
And that'll go 3, 4, 5 years in a row like that. Sometimes there's a year like this year where it will just throw everything off. I don't know if it's weather or rain or predators, how that works. But this year, it seemed like everything was 6 weeks
super
later.
late.
I wasn't seeing things when I typically would, so who knows?
Mm-hmm.
That's why I love it, man. It's always different.
It is a massive gamble. It is awesome. I mean, it's a lot of work, but it's so fun. The camaraderie, the friendships, it's a lot of fun. Was there any updates you wanted to throw in? Anything about ice fishing or trail cameras? Anything?
The Minnesota Big Game Records book, the 3rd edition, just came out about a week ago. You can check out their site and you can order yourself a copy of the record book. It's up to date from 2020 till now, I believe, so check it out. Other than that,
It's raining today, ice fishing, yeah.
Raining, yes. Check the ice if you're going out. If you're driving a vehicle out on the ice, you really, really need to know what you're doing, and you need to drill, especially around weeds, springs, bays, areas like that. Please check the ice. I say it every video. I'm gonna keep saying it until April. check the ice. Check it yourself. Don't check Facebook.
We're going to be going out in a couple weeks, but northern Minnesota. So yeah, hopefully we'll be able to walk out.
Absolutely. I think the only thing we'll run into is shore ice might be eaten away a little, but you got a good 12 to 18 inches up there, and we can make that work.
Yeah.
And I did that because I was out Saturday scouting. If you're deer scouting and there's ice, take his advice. It's the same thing. Are you crossing a brook, a river, a swamp, or a bog? That could be just as dangerous.
I want to add something to that. When I first got into scouting here in the metro, there was a creek, and I think I saw deer tracks on it, and I thought, man, the deer are crossing it. It's got to be good, and I checked it out, and it was maybe a 10, 15 feet wide creek, and super scary. I fell through.
That's dangerous.
And I ended up catching some branches, and there was water in a gap, but it had been cold for a long time. So, and that was deer scouting. That was not ice fishing. It was just a small creek, and that was where I wanted to scout, on the other side of the creek, and that was super scary. So I kind of play it easy now with I'm not going to die over this. So
that's good advice. And some of that stuff out, I don't know if it's with the decaying vegetation or springs or something out in them swamps.
It's heat or something. I don't know, thermals or whatever.
Yeah, it doesn't
freeze the same way.
And you gotta just be careful.
Be careful. At the end of the day, we just were talking about that. This is supposed to be fun. Yeah. We're supposed to have fun with this, and no one's supposed to die, or get hurt. So,
other than the ice, I'd like to get a recurve bow. So, looking for advice or any help with that.
I like that.
Outside of that, the usual place I hunt, I plan to use this future recurve that I get. 10, 12 yards max is my shot for that.
If you want a lot of bad advice, I can give it to you.
Yeah, Jake.
I'll need it.
Have you killed a deer with the recurve?
I haven't. So the problem with the recurve is it's super fun to shoot. So much so that I would shoot, so I work from home, fortunate to do that. I'd shoot over lunch, and I'd shoot in the evening, and I messed my shoulder and my back up doing it.
No.
So be careful on how you do it.
Yeah.
But also, I've missed 2 bucks now. I got clips of that.
No
totally
judgment. I mean, that is a...
That was a gut check for me, and we say this with compound bows too. It's not the same as shooting in the backyard. Shooting at a live animal is totally different.
Well, way different.
I need to practice more.
Yeah.
Simple as that. Yeah.
Exactly.
Good advice.
Yeah, that's a super challenge. I mean, to get shots on deer, I mean, hats off to you. That's that's crazy. I told Joey, I don't think the compound bow is a challenge in itself for me. I don't think I will ever pick up a recurve. Rifle hunter turning into a compound bow. I love bow hunting, but I don't know. It's got to take a lot of years maybe. I love my compound and confident with it. I mean,
nothing wrong with that.
My hats go off to everyone that uses a recurve. That's respect. So. Alrighty, yeah. So, like we said in the beginning, we're going to talk kind of all things outdoors, primarily whitetail archery hunting, but I figured I'd throw some trapping talk in. I'm a certified trapper. Took the 8-hour course or whatever it was. These are designed Minnesota legal. They got to have your Minnesota DNR number on there, and they got to have a breakaway piece on them. I forget what the poundage is. I haven't trapped this year. Just been super busy with deer scouting and the bear hunting. I'd like to trap a bobcat. I've got a lot of them on camera. I can add that in here. I've set up my traps in the past with cellular trail cameras actually, and had bobcats sniffing my box trap here. I'll show you guys that. And I think, I'm a new trapper. My dad didn't teach me any of this, but, I think I had probably touched my conibears a little too much. They're very picky. I've hunted bobcats too with calls, but I'll add some of those pictures in. They're pretty cool. Just a big old tom. But yeah, this is a snare. and I could share a couple more things quick here. Yeah, this is a beaver pelt that I skinned for the Minnesota trapping course. So the trapper, he's he works for XL Energy and traps beavers. So I believe this came out of like St. Paul, blocking their outflow pumps or whatever. And so he asked if I wanted this, and I this is my first animal that I skinned out and tanned. So
Cool.
pretty cool. So yeah, you guys can feel it if you want.
Oh,
I'll share one last thing. This is a box trap here, and with a 220 conibear in it. And I won't share how to set it, but yeah, so they're effective. You can use these conibears, with water traps, beavers, and then on land. But you want to take that course, and you just don't want to set these out anywhere. I mean, they're like a gun or whatever. They're lethal. I mean, they kill. They're kill traps. They're not foot traps. So you just want to know what you're doing. But yeah, that's a little bit of trapping info. There's I think maybe bobcat is in season. I'm not trapping this year, like I said. So, but yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of work.
Yeah.
But again, it gets you in the woods and you learn a lot. You get super connected with nature. So,
do you have any advice on coyote trapping?
boy, coyote trapping. Yeah, I would just, find an area, trail cam or their tracks, and if you can get any roadkill deer or any way to get legal deer that have died or, from a butcher or whatever, try and bait them. And if you could bait them for a couple weeks and start setting traps on trails, you could be in good shape.
Okay.
So, where that's legal. So, yeah, just check your regulations and take a certification class if you want to trap or coyote hunting is always an option. That's a lot of fun. Calling them in. So, good time of year. No snow here in our state of Minnesota, which makes it kind of hard to see them, but I don't know, go out and give it some heck anyways. But yeah, that's a little trapping info. Yeah. This is a young beaver, super soft.
Warm.
Yeah, warm. You could make a hat out of it.
You can feel the heat coming right off of that.
I really want to trap by the hunting shack, our northern hunting shack. There's a ton of beaver ponds, and I think that season goes maybe till May.
Wow.
Long, I can set these 220 conibears, anywhere out there, and I'd like to not trap for money, but just to get a couple different animals, whatever, under my belt.
Good to learn a lot. You'd almost have to spend a week or so.
I know.
There and just dedicated to it.
That's what I learned. Checking traps every couple days, so that makes it hard if you're. I was trapping 2.5 hours, 2 hours from my house. So ethically and legally, I mean, you owe it to the animal to not be letting those traps go longer. So you got to take that course or whatever, and you'll learn that. So I'm not trapping this year, but I can add some bobcat pictures. Really cool toms. They must be toms. They're big cats. So I'd like to trap one of those in my life and get it fully body mounted and probably never trap again. But just to do get a big beaver and just to learn it. It's a cool tradition. So. That's it for the trapping thing. Did you guys want to add anything else?
A really cool trapper I follow on social media is 330 Maniac, and I think he's
Maniac.
north central Minnesota.
Oh, he's Minnesota, huh?
Yeah, he's got some great posts on Facebook and TikTok, Instagram. Really cool beaver trapping that he does. That's about all I can think of.
Wow. Yeah.
I got a lot of family that's into trapping. I'll have to connect you guys, but
yeah,
I have a lot of respect for that. If that, I think, gives you attention to detail, the woodsmanship involved with that's intense.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
A lot of hardcore bow hunters said they started out trapping.
Yeah.
And so there's something to that. I mean, you are connected with the land. That's why I wanted to do it. I don't ever want to sell pelts. I respect that too. Nothing against that, but I just want to know it.
Yeah, you learn so much. If you run into a trapper, you plant yourself and you just listen.
Yeah.
You're going to learn a lot.
Exactly. Well, yeah, we thank you for being on this episode.
Thank you.
I hope you can be on more. And we haven't hunted together. Joey and I have hunted a ton, but this fall the three of us will be slinging arrows. So
I like that. Yeah, thanks for having me. It's been great.
That's awesome. Alrighty, adios, friends.